Hi, I'm Debbie O'Rourke, and today I'm going to talk about sketchbooks and sketchbooking. Now, this is a sketchbook I've had for over 40 years. We all know these kinds of sketchbooks. They were just sketch paper, and this is where my very first one where I learned to draw. These were the first drawings I ever did, sitting outside in my backyard watching the kids. And after that, I decided I would learn to draw, and I used this book for all the lessons that I had using Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain book. Anyway, there's a new modern definition for sketchbooking. And you can do anything you want in a sketchbook. Obviously, this was never meant to be finished pages. They were sketchbooking. Now, however, there are beautiful, beautiful sketchbooks, and I'm going to talk about all the different types that you can do your paintings on. You can, of course, rip them out of the book or cut them out with a X-Acto knife and frame them, and they can be real pictures, but they don't have to be. A sketchbook can be anything you want it to be. It can be your observations, it can be color charts, it can be writing down the feelings of the day. Some people journal and do visual journals of their trips. But in a sketchbook, there's no pressure to create a finished painting. It's yours, it's just for you. And if you want to come home and make that into a finished painting somehow, or take all your observations, you can do that. There's an amazing array of sketchbooks, from pads of paper, which this was one of the first I did. This is this Canson XL mixed media. It's called fluid mixed media. It means you can use wet stuff on it. And I use this to make a lot of different acrylic papers for collaging, and it can take, it's pretty heavy paper, and it can take heavy texturing and water and paints, and it's large. So this isn't probably the kind of thing you want to travel around with. However, I took a sketchbooking class from Ian Fennelly, and he does sketchbooking. He uses this pad on his lap to draw, and I think I've taken out all the drawings that I did in here, but it's big enough to hold on his lap, and he likes to do very large drawings. And so I bought this, and the thing that bothered me about it was that there was no good cover. It's just a piece of paper for a cover, even though it has a hard cardboard backing so that you can lean against it. This is an example of a spiral bound sketchbook, and there are others. For instance, this is a small mixed media, Canson mixed media spiral book. And I have some others that are good, you know, in different sizes for different things. I personally don't feel warm and fuzzy about the spirals. And the other thing that happens with the spiral notebooks is that the spirals come undone, and I'm always trying to push them back on the pages. If you use a spiral, you never want to tear it out, because that'll definitely ruin your spirals. You'll always still want to cut it out. For oil painting, you can use any of these sketchbooks with a heavier paper, and if you coat them with a coat of acrylic gesso, they're ready for oil paint. Or you could buy one of these pads, the canvas pads, and use these as a sketchbook, even though they're a pad. I have one here that is a pastel sketchbook. Sorry. I didn't want you to see my dirty desk, so it's all full of paint. Anyway, this is a pastel sketchbook, and it has sheets of glassine interspersed with sheets of pastel paper so that you don't ruin your pastels when you close the book. And because it's just a notebook, 3-ring notebook, I can add paper to it whenever I want. Different types of paper. This is sandpaper. So that's just for pastels. And you can even make one of these yourself. Easy to carry around when you're plein air painting. This is a fun sketchbook. It's called Paintin' Sketchbook. And what this has, I got this on Amazon. What this has is pages to draw on next to pages of color. This is your paint. And all you need to do is to have a water brush with you. You fill this with water and you liquefy your paint and paint with it. So that's how this is done. That way you could keep it with you in your car, and this is all you need: a pencil, a water brush, and this book to do anything you want. This is an example of things, fun things you can do with your sketchbook. You can make your samples of colors before you paint. And sometimes it's fun to see a painting, maybe this isn't done the right way, but to see a painting with the colored chart next to it. So that's a really fun and easy way of sketchbooking. Now I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite ones. They come in all different sizes. It's sort of crazy. And a lot of them come with the European designations of paper sizes, which are A1 to 7. And in the handout that I'm going to give you, it has a whole chart of what those sizes mean, because they're in centimeters and we're more familiar with inches. So I have that all set out for you. A7 is really tiny sketchbook. It's like 3x4, and you can even get them as small as 2x2. Some people just like to carry around this little tiny sketchbook and a little tiny palette and paint with it. I personally don't like painting that small. So one of my favorites is this one. These are the Strathmore books, and they come in different sizes, obviously. Yeah, this is the Strathmore book. And one of the things you should know about sketchbooks is that they come with lots of different kinds of paper. This one is, no, maybe this is a moleskin. I think this is a moleskin or moleskine. I don't know how you say it. I got this years ago, and I've brought it to every class I've ever taken, this and other ones, and glued in the handouts from the teachers and just used this as my class book. And it's just about full, so I have to start a new one. But you can see, like, sketchbook pages aren't finished. These were a fun drawing class I did online. And I obviously, I'm showing it to you, but I wouldn't show these to anybody. This was a 2-minute drawing where you couldn't lift the pencil off the paper. So your sketchbook can be anything. But, oh no, this I can see in the light now. This is a Stillman and Byrne sketchbook. There's many that are similar to this. It's got sort of a soft cover. It's hard, but it's soft. It bends back, and they do open pretty flat. It's the stitching that makes them lay flat. So there's a lot of different papers, and you will see when you look online for these things. And if you're in person, you can obviously feel it. Here's two. These are tone tan books. These are great for using gouache on, because gouache is opaque. Watercolors, not so much, because the tan shows through. But you can use these for the gouache, and I really like the tone tan. But here's this one, and you can see how heavy the paper is. And then here's this one, and this paper is much different. And you can see that it warps a little bit. It warps a little bit when you're painting with it. So this paper is 80-pound paper. So you'll see this designation, 80 pounds or 118 grams per square meter. That's the British, this is the US. 80-pound paper would be just plain sketch paper, really. This is, I'm using this as my next class book because it is too thin to really paint on. And then this one is this is probably 140 weight paper. It's much thicker. So you're looking at two things when you look. You're looking at the size of the book and the thickness of the paper and the type of paper. So a lot of these are what they call mixed media papers. Mixed media means it can take any medium, but it's not a watercolor paper, and they're mostly smooth paper. They don't have texture to them. Then you can find ones that are, well, this is also multimedia paper, and maybe not, maybe this is watercolor paper. This has a slight texture to it. Oh, a lot of them come with these cute little envelopes in the back, so you can keep color charts or pictures or whatever you want in there. I think this is a watercolor book, actually, and I don't have it written down. Recently, what I've tried to do is to write down, when I get a book, make a record of what type of paper, or put the label into it somehow. I absolutely love these books. These are Speedball. The company is Speedball. And this is a 7x7 square format. And I don't know why, I just really like these. And I've said in my handout, when you buy a sketchbook, it's sort of like Harry Potter when he went to buy his wand. The wand chose him. Any of these will work. Any of these sketchbooks will work. You can draw and paint in them. But there's some that you get a warm, fuzzy feeling for, and this is one of them. So that's the Speedball. If you get a really good watercolor paper, it should be 160 weight, 160 pound weight. And of course, watercolor paper comes in different types. So there's hot press, which is very smooth, cold press, which has some texture, rough pressed, which has a lot of texture. And so you want to know what you're getting. So this is Etcher. This is a brand new one. It's very stiff yet. It's an Etcher sketchbook. It doesn't lay as flat as some of the others. I mean, you can probably make it lay flat, but it will eventually. It's just very stiff. But this is a very heavy watercolor cold press paper, and this has what's called the deckled edges, which is sort of fun, but really doesn't make a difference. It just makes you feel more attached to it if it has deckled edges. And this has a beautiful leather cover. A lot of them have these strings to hold them closed. Right now it's not a problem, but once you start filling them up, they get thicker and thicker and thicker, and you need the string to have them hold closed. This is another one. This is a smaller sketchbook by Baohang. It's a Chinese company. And this is also a very nice watercolor hot press, I believe, watercolor paper. Let's see, Baohang, there we go. Baohang watercolor sketchbook, 140 pound. So if the best is 160, this is 140. It's very nice. And then this is another one. This is Talon's art creation sketchbooks. These are very popular in Europe. They fold very flat because some people like to paint on both sides of the page. I haven't really done that yet. I like to just paint on one side, and then I use the other side for my notes or sketches or color swatches, and then do the painting on this side. And they come in different, you know, portrait. This would be a portrait book. Of course, if you hold it this way, it becomes a landscape. But they come in all these different sizes. And yeah, and they come with the hard covers or the soft covers or the pretty leather. I haven't found any brands that are bad, so whatever you get is fine. One of the things I learned about sketchbooking is that when you are painting, especially if you're painting to the edge, like I did here in preparation for a painting, you'll tend to get paint on the edges of other pages or somehow mess up your next pages. And all you have to do is bring a piece of paper with you that you stick in, and then you can paint right off the edge without getting it on your other pages. So, absolutely any of these will work. You can paint in them and draw in them and write anything you want. It's almost like your own personal art diary. So, find the one you like and enjoy sketchbooking.